It's Michelle Caruana from Play Cafe Academy and Profitable Play. And today's video is going to be a little bit different, but I'm very excited. So if you've been watching this channel, you're probably used to hearing me talk about my indoor playground business and how to open a successful and profitable play cafe. But again, I wanted to do something a little bit differently today. And I actually wanted to instead give you some insight into what my business looks like today as an indoor playground course, a course creator, as someone who creates workshops and templates and printables and sells them on Etsy and my website and all that good stuff. I get so many questions about this on Instagram and my YouTube comments. So I figured now is the perfect time to let you guys in on how I started this business, how I scaled it to over $750,000 in revenue, what it looks like today, and how you can get started if this is something that you are interested in. So today I'm actually going to be interviewing my business mentor, Amy Porterfield, because many years ago, I took one of Amy's free trainings. I signed up for her full program and I learned how to create a digital course, coaching program, all that stuff from scratch. And I've been following Amy ever since. I'm in her private mastermind community and I can't recommend her enough. I had the opportunity to fly out to meet her last year in Nashville and work a little bit with her team, and it was such a great experience. Amy cares so much about what she does and about her students, including myself. So again, I'm really excited to share this conversation that I had with her today with you on this channel. And I also wanted to share that if you are interested in a similar business, whether you are looking to add a digital course or a digital product to your indoor playground business, or you've kind of had to abandon your plans for now, or if you're just looking for a way to gain revenue ahead of launching your indoor playground business, maybe to fund your startup costs, Amy has a $47 bootcamp coming up. It starts September 11th. So yes, this is incredibly time sensitive, and she only does it once a year. And this is by far the most affordable and accessible way to learn from Amy and her team, as well as her massive community of people who are going to be doing the same thing right alongside you. So if you go to michellecaruana.com/bootcamp, and sign up for the bootcamp using any link on that page, not only do you get access to Amy and her team and everything I just mentioned, you also unlock a free bonus training that I put together actually for Amy's private mastermind that really walks through the step-by-step process in my business, what I'm creating, how much I'm spending on ads, what tools I'm using, how much I'm making on each one of my products, all those juicy details that I know you want to know. But if after this conversation, you're still looking for a little bit more inspiration, if you're still not really sure an online business or a digital course or product is right for you, I want to share with you some interviews that I've done with people either on this YouTube channel or on my podcast that showcase real parents, some indoor playground owners, some former teachers, and people from really all walks of life who have created and launched their own digital course that adds significantly to their life and contributes to their family's income. People like Heather O'Donnell, who created a kindergarten readiness program that thousands of parents have purchased to get their preschoolers ready for that first day of school. And play coach Juliana, who makes tens of thousands of dollars every single month and was able to retire her husband to work with her in the business just by sharing play ideas with parents on a consistent basis. And then, of course, there's Christine Hernandez from Play Cafe Academy and Playmaker Society, who is an indoor playground owner who is doing these really amazing parenting classes in person and was able to take them online after the pandemic and really scale her impact and income beyond her four physical walls. So like I said, regardless of where you are in your business journey, whether you have an indoor playground business or whether you are just getting started or whether you've had to pivot and go down a new route entirely, I know you are going to love this conversation. If you have any comments for Amy or I, please feel free to leave them below the video. But like I said, I hope to see you in Amy's course creation bootcamp. It starts September 11th. So again, go to michellecaruana.com/bootcamp or just use the link in the video description to get all of that plus my bonus training. And without further ado, here is my conversation with Amy, and I hope to see you in September. Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, hey there, my friend. Thanks so much for having me.
I am so excited for this conversation. So we're just going to kind of dive right in. So before we get started, do you want to just quickly let people know who you are and who you serve?
Yes. So I always say I'm an ex corporate girl turned accidental entrepreneur. And about 15 years ago, I quit my last 9 to 5 job and I started my own online business. And over the last 15 years, I have been helping people take their knowledge, know how, and skill and turn that into a digital course that they can launch over and over again to build financial freedom and also lifestyle freedom. So that's what I've been doing for many, many years. And I've helped over 90,000 people through my digital courses. So it's been a really great experience.
And myself included in that number. So thank you very much for that. That's how we connected.
You are a
But the
star
first
student, my friend. So it's such my honor.
Thank you. So the first thing I kind of wanted to get started, because now that we're post-pandemic, we've all kind of heard of online courses. We're familiar with what digital products are. However, a lot of us have this misconception that the only way to make money with online courses is to teach money making or to teach business. So can you talk a little bit about some of the topics that are more focused on parenting or early education? Because I know that's what a lot of my audience is focused on. Is it possible to create a digital course and actually make money in those niches and those topics?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought this up. I would say a really big handful of my students are creating courses that have nothing to do with making money. So, some examples. One of my students has had huge success in her course helping parents with their picky eaters. So she's done incredible work in terms of helping those parents figure out how to get their kids to eat healthfully, even knowing they don't want to touch anything healthy. So she's had really great success with that. Another one of my students helps parents get their kids to sleep through the night, the newborns, the toddlers, the sleep training in ways that work for the parents. She has exploded on the web due to this. Another one of my students, she worked in the ER and she wanted to take her expertise out of there and have a digital course to have more freedom. So she teaches parents how to administer CPR or quick emergency action before they can get any help. So it stemmed from her child choking in the morning over breakfast, and she realized, wait a second, I know what to do, but so many other parents don't know what to do. So how can I help them? Again, she's had huge success. One more, let me just tell you, one of my students, Barbara, she actually developed a technique to help people who stutter. And before her course, she would do this through one on one sessions. So a lot of people come into my world and they've worked one on one with people, or they've gotten results for themselves, but they've never taught it to somebody else. But they know, like, if I put this into a course, I could reach one to many. Well, Barbara was unique. She had a husband that was really sick and she became his caretaker. And so she had to find a way that she could be there for him, but also make money for the family. So she decided, you know what? I'm going to package up this technique I created for stuttering for parents to help their kids, for adults to help each other. And so she said, listen, the reason I'm doing this is there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I want to make sure that I help other people with this. And also, she said, I want to retire. She was actually 70 years old when she created this course. And she said, I want to retire, but I want this to live beyond me. I want to help people beyond my retirement. So, long story short, she decided to create a digital course, never has done anything like this before, had to kind of figure it out step by step. And her goal was to just get a handful of people the first time out. Well, she made $17,000 in her very first launch with this technique that she had created to help other parents and adults with stuttering. And so I say this story because one, she was 70. She did not know how to do all of this. She was able to figure it out, but also that was her first launch. She's gone on to have great success. So there is great money and impact to be made, even if you're not helping other people make money.
That story, and I kind of want to dive deeper into that a little bit more because it intrigued me. Because something that I hear a lot from my audience is, they hear the word online course and they think this big mammoth task that they have to accomplish, and they get really intimidated and they think,
Yeah.
wow, an online course, that sounds so complicated. It sounds like you can start with smaller steps. It sounds like there are ways to get started in a smaller format, maybe as a side hustle or something like that. So can you explain a little bit more about how people can get started, even if it feels very overwhelming?
Yes. Okay. This is such a great question. Actually, I teach a lot of newbies, people that are just getting into digital courses, but also just starting to think about, can I build a business? They might want a side hustle. They might want to leave a 9 to 5, or maybe they've been a stay at home mom for many years and they want to get back into it, but don't want to go back to a 9 to 5 job. So I am the queen of starting simple and getting fancy later. So you could create a very basic introductory course where you don't have to be on camera a lot, you don't have to have fancy equipment. Quite honestly, a smartphone and a computer and very little money to start, and you could actually have a very viable, successful digital course. And you do not need to teach everything you know. I always tell my students, all you need is a 10% edge. And I think this is really great for those who are listening now. A 10% edge means that you've gotten results for yourself or for somebody else, and now you're willing to teach how you got those results in a step-by-step or roadmap kind of path kind of formula inside of a course. So teaching first you do this, then you do this, then you do that. But your results for your students don't have to be earth-shattering, like life-changing. They could be simple. Like one of my students, Edna, she actually does basics of cooking classes, and she would do them out of her kitchen. So she was doing these introductory to cooking classes out of her kitchen. People would come in and learn, and she realized, I don't have a lot of space for the people that want to get in my class. This is getting more popular than I thought. There's no way this is going to keep continuing to work. So she thought, well, I'm going to take what I know about basics of cooking in the kitchen. I'm going to put it into a digital course. And so she learned the step by step, how to do it, kept it very simple. She didn't have extra production. She didn't bring in a crew to film. She didn't have an editing crew. She did it all herself, really simple. And she had 38 students in her course the first time out. $29,000. I want to talk about the 38 students. A lot of people that are listening, they're thinking, wait, I've never done this. I don't have a big audience. There's no way I would be successful in this. And my point is, you only need a tiny sliver of the internet to pay attention, a small community. 38 students out of over 7 billion people in this world, 38 students raised their hand and said, I want to learn from a digital course the basics of cooking. And she made $29,000. Now, Edna could have said, you know what? These people could go on YouTube and learn the basics of cooking. They can hunt and peck around videos. They could learn what I'm teaching. Why don't they? Because she built a small community of people that wanted to learn from her. She created that connection with them online. And she put it in a format that they could do step by step by step instead of searching all over YouTube or Google to figure out how to do what they wanted to do. She made a connection with them, a small audience, and they were the first ones to raise their hand and say, I want this. So you can absolutely keep it simple. You do not have to have a big audience to get started, and you don't have to have a lot of students to be successful.
That. And I also love the idea of not necessarily having to teach everything you know. I'm so glad that you brought that up.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but a lot of people, again, hear the term online course and they think of some of the, people that have been doing this for 10 or 15 years, like yourself, that have, $2,000, $3,000 courses. And again, it feels overwhelming.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about the difference between a signature course and maybe an easier course to get started with and what those price points might look like?
Yes, I love this question. Okay, so there's actually 4 different courses you can create. And every year I do a boot camp and I get into all the details and give a lot of examples and ask some questions to help people figure out what type of course they want to create. But I'll give you the big picture here. So the first type of course is what I call a workshop course. Think of it like a mini course. It's just 1 hour of training. You can do it live and record it. And now you have a recorded course as well, but you charge for it. But it's just one area of your expertise that you're going to talk about for an hour, and then maybe do a Q&A, and maybe if you want to create a PDF so it's like a guide while they're learning, great. But you're going to charge around $100 for something like this, a little less if you want to. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're a career coach and you help people land their dream jobs. But in your mini course, in your workshop course, you might just teach how to create a stellar resume in an hour or less. So that's what people are paying for. They get into your world and you can learn more about them. And when you're ready, you could create a bigger course. But it's a great place to start. And then the other three courses are this: there's a starter course, a spotlight course, and a signature course. A starter course would be like that introductory to cooking. You usually charge anywhere from $100 to about $250, and it's just getting people started with the basics. You might have, let's say, 10 different lessons that are in this course, but they don't go deep into everything they need to know about cooking, just the basics. So you're getting people started. Very easy course to start because it doesn't have to be long. People can get through it in a weekend, not a lot of videos, but you're getting them results. The third type of course, Spotlight. This is where you take one area of your expertise, but you go deep. So for example, Rob Green, one of my students, he's a photographer. He taught a Spotlight course where he taught how to use flash photography that looks like natural light. So he knows tons about photography, but that's all his course was about. And he went deep on the topic. He had 100 people on his email list in a very small social, and he made $12,000 with that course. So again, you do not need a huge audience for this to work. And then finally, the final course is a signature course. This is that Mac Daddy of all courses. You're promising a big transformation. So that's where you charge anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000. It will take you longer to create and it will take your students longer to get through. But the bigger the results, the higher you charge. And so that's why this one's going to be more expensive. But again, you can start with a mini course or a starter course and just ease into it and still be really profitable.
I love that. And Play Cafe Academy is my signature course. I started with it. If I could go back, I would have taken your boot camp and digital course academy way sooner than I did and realized that I could have started a little bit smaller because I bit off way more than I can chew and I had to go back and redo everything. But
That's normal.
but
That's normal. A lot of people kind of start a little bit bigger. That's why I started teaching the four different kind of courses so people can ease into it.
yes. And over time, I've added each type of course to my business. And I think it's really important to reiterate that, when people see businesses like yours or mine, they see, oh, well, she has all of these different courses. I
Yeah.
took baby steps, added them over time. It was not overnight. It was not something that I did, in a weekend. I took baby steps and I added them over time. And one thing that I wanted to kind of ask about, because I know we talked about getting started, you alluded a little bit to why people might want to buy from you because, right, they make that connection with you. But one thing that I constantly hear from my audience is, with the evolution of TikTok and YouTube and things like that, a lot of people are wondering why people are still paying for digital courses when it feels like so much information is out there for free. So again, they understand digital products, they understand, yes, I can technically make money, but they don't understand why people are still paying for content when they can get it for free. So can we talk about that a little?
Yes. And I love this question. You can even add, like, so you've got YouTube, Google, now Chat GPT, AI can help you.
Exactly.
So figure out things. So why would you pay for it? Okay. So we'll go back to my first example. People, when they gravitate toward you, when they trust you, when they like how you're doing something, they will absolutely want to learn from you. One example, to give you another example in that area, but I'll give you many more reasons. I have a student, we call her Sarah Sourdough, and she teaches people how to make sourdough bread. If you Google, especially after COVID, if you were to Google how to make sourdough bread, you will find hundreds of thousands of hits on YouTube and Google. Why was Sarah able to make five figures, high five figures, with her course teaching sourdough bread? Well, Sarah was a busy mom. She had a lot going on, and the women that were in her course could really relate to her lifestyle. They got her, she got them. And so there was that connection there. And also, she would teach it in a step-by-step format where if they went on Google or YouTube, they had to hunt and peck all over the web to get the kind of results that they wanted. Does this work? Does that work? Then they didn't even know if they were learning from someone who really knows what they're talking about. So again, that's why people like to gravitate towards somebody and will pay for it because they have that connection. But also, to add to that, when you want real results in anything, whether it be a hobby or something for business or something for your relationship, when you're serious about getting results, the last thing you want to do is try to find it on Google and hope that the person you're learning from actually knows what they're talking about. So the people that pay for courses are serious about getting results and genuinely want to learn. They're not just dabbling and maybe going to do it. They really want to get in there. And that's another reason why people will pay for it. Also, they want fast results. So when you want to do something and you want to really learn how to do it, but you don't want to mess around, you're going to go to somebody who's going to teach you how to get there as fast as humanly possible. So when I teach my students how to create courses, I always tell them, we are teaching people how to get from point A to point B as fast as humanly possible. So you're going to take out all the fluff. You don't need to share everything you know in this course. Only teach them what they need to get the results that you're promising. So we're taking out a lot of the noise, a lot of the fluff to help people get results quickly. That doesn't happen on YouTube or Google. There's a lot of fluff, a lot to sift through. So think ease of use, think connection with the person that's teaching you, think the fact that you want to get results quickly. That is why people are paying for this. And I want to say that thought, like, why would people pay for it when they can get it free? I just want to tell you, my students have made millions and millions of dollars collectively teaching things that you could easily find on YouTube or Google. So I have lots of proof that this works. You just have to be careful with that limiting belief thinking no one will pay for it. They will absolutely pay for it when you do it right.
Going back to kind of your previous example, you don't need every single person that wants to learn about this topic to
Yeah.
pay for it. You can
Yeah.
create huge revenue impact with just 38 people or
Yes.
12 people, right? So going back to that a little bit, the course math, can we talk a little bit about what is possible with the different types of courses, especially if you're kind of starting it as a side hustle? Is it possible to make real revenue with a course, and what might that look like?
Yes. And again, I'm always about baby steps. So I'm going to kind of break through some course math for you or break down some course math. But I want to tell you real fast about one of my students, Belle. So Belle, she was a stay-at-home mom forever. She wanted to get out of the house. She wanted to learn a new hobby. And so she decided to go to a class where they made handmade books using salvage papers. Again, it's not a class for her to make money. She wanted this hobby, handmade books using salvage paper. So she went to this class in person and she was pretty good at it. And one of her instructors said, "Hey, can you take over this class next year? Like, can you step in for me?" And she thought, well, yeah, why not? So she started doing that and she did it for years. But then she started dreading teaching the exact same class over and over and over again. And also her hands started to hurt. Like this was a very tactile type of thing. So she thought, I got to figure out a way. I love this, and I want to make money for my family teaching it, but this isn't working for me. So she thought, if I create a course, I could create one class and then I can offer it over and over again and also beyond my local market, because these were people that were coming into a classroom with her in her town. So she decided, okay, I'm going to figure this out. Never had a business, never knew how to do this. And so she thought, well, I'm just going to charge $47. So I would consider that a workshop course or a starter course. $47, really low. She didn't want anybody not to be able to get her course. But she made over $6,000 in her very first launch. Now, you might say $6,000 isn't going to pay all the bills all year. That was one little launch. I want to point out before I get into more course math, the way I teach this is you create one course and then you launch it over and over and over again. You can create new ways to launch it through social media and email and webinars or whatever you might want to do. You could do live launches, automated launches, so you don't have to show up live for them. There's so many options here. But again, I want you all to hear one course that you launch over and over again. I have launched the same course since 2019, and I have grown it year after year because I become better at marketing it. I understand my students more, and I tweak my course every year to become a little bit better so people get bigger and bigger results and tell other people about it. One course that you promote over time. So Belle's a great example. $6,000 her first launch. She didn't stop there and she kept going. So I really love that. Now, to give you a little bit of more course math, remember, tiny sliver of the internet. That's all you need to pay attention in order to be profitable. Let's say you created a course for $500 and you might say, Amy, who's going to buy a course for $500 if I'm not teaching people how to make money? Oh, a lot of people are going to buy that course. If they have a need, if they have a desire, if they, more importantly, have a challenge that you can solve, people are paying for it. And so let's say you have a course that's $500, but only 20 people bought it. That's that's $10,000. $10,000 for just 20 people raise their hand. But the reason I use this as my course math is that's the first time you launch it. The second time you launch it, again, you're going to be better at talking about it. You'll understand your students more because you'll get feedback. And also, every time you promote this course, your social media gets a little bit bigger. Your email list gets a little bit bigger. And so you are able to sell more every single time you launch it. So if you're sitting here with no email list or small social, just know if you get into the digital course world and you start promoting your course, you will see an email list start to grow. You will see the social media start to grow as well. So it adds up really quickly if you continue to launch that same course over and over again.
And you can probably leverage the success that you got with those original 20 students,
Oh,
get
yes.
testimonials, maybe, I know we're getting into the weeds, but use affiliates. So people selling your course for you if they've gotten success with you in the past. So it really is that first launch that is the most difficult. And it pains me to see because I see a lot of people stop after that first launch
Ah,
and they forget that it does get easier, right?
yes, absolutely. Sometimes that course launch is rough. You've never done it before. Like 15 years ago, when I did my first launch, I made $267. And then I cried for a week because I said, I'm not cut out for this. I'm going to have to beg back for my 9 to 5 job. So I had a rough go in the beginning. But imagine if I stopped there and said, I can't figure this out, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today with such a thriving business. Other of my students, they've started out rocky as well and then got back into it. One of my students, he helps dads um, uh, fix their dad bods, is basically what he says, helps dads get into shape. And his first launch was an epic failure. And now he's having $40,000 months with his digital course. Imagine if he stopped. So you gotta give yourself a little grace. You gotta tell yourself, I wasn't taught this in school. And of course, I teach people step by step. So I hold their hands, I guide them. But also with that, it's still sometimes you feel stuck. You have to have that mindset that I really can figure this out. And here's the real thing, Michelle, that I want people to hear. Before you get started, let's say creating a digital course and kind of venturing out, get really clear on why this is important to you. It's not like you're going to wake up tomorrow morning and say, I want to create a digital course. That's my passion in life. I don't even do that. Instead, you got to think about what is it that you really want. Like my students, they want the freedom to pick their kids up from school at 3 p.m. and not be stuck to a 9 to 5 job. They want to make some extra money to take their kids on that Disney vacation they've been talking about forever. A lot of women that come into my world, they want to contribute to the household. Some of them end up becoming the breadwinner, which blows their mind. And I love that and celebrate that all day long. And so get clear on what do you want? Why would extra revenue in your life, what would that change? Why do you want that? And also, why do you want the more freedom lifestyle? What will that afford you? And so it's not always about the money. So many of my students, they're like, no, it's about the time I get to spend with my family. It's about the fact that I no longer have a boss. It's about the fact that I'm building up my college fund for my kids. That is like really what drives them.
And I relate to that completely. My number one reason was being able to drive my kids to school and pick them up. So I'm glad that
Was
you
it?
mentioned that.
Oh, I didn't know that. I love that. See, that's real stuff. That's what matters.
Yeah, my son has special needs, so it's really difficult for him to take the bus. So it's just those little things. I probably could make a lot more money if I worked 60 or even, 40 hours a week, but I love my 12-hour a week business. It allows
Ah,
me to do exactly what I want. And I love reminding people that you don't have to be the next big guru. You don't have to be the next big influencer. You can just make a difference in your family's life. You don't have to have a big team. You can start just as small as you want and allow that to be enough. And it doesn't
so
have to
true.
be this major, major business that's on the cover of Forbes. It could be
Yeah,
someday,
but
but it doesn't have to be the dream. And if that's not your dream, if you don't want to be a household name, that's absolutely fine. So I love that you brought that up. But kind
yes.
of diving a little bit deeper into mindset, because that's something that I struggle with is something that a lot of people listening struggle with. And one thing that kind of comes up again and again, and we talked about this a little bit, but just to again dive a little deeper, when you were talking about making sure, when people are going to pay for a course, they want that person to know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But let's say we don't have a license in what we want to teach, or there are other people who are better experts than we are, or we just don't feel qualified enough. Can you talk a little bit about what someone struggling with that mindset might need to do in order to get over that, to start becoming an authority in their space, even if other authorities already exist?
Absolutely. So I love this question because I would say 90% of my successful students, the first thought they had was, I don't know if I can do this. And then the next few thoughts are, what if nobody buys? What if I look like an imposter? What if I don't know enough? Maybe I should wait till my audience is bigger. Maybe I should wait till I have more education. Maybe I need more experience. I'm talking about my successful students who had 5-figure or 6-figure launches out of the gate. We all think that. We all feel that way. So, the first thing I want everyone who's listening to hear is that the imposter syndrome, the fear, the doubt that it won't work, absolutely normal. If you didn't have it, I'd be like, are you sure? Like something's weird here. So that is so normal. So we all start with a lot of doubt as we venture into taking our knowledge and turning it into a course. Normal. The only difference from someone who either starts and then stops or never starts at all, and then my successful students, the only difference is they were willing to start in the messy. They were willing to look a little foolish if it didn't work out. They were willing to look not totally polished. I have a friend who says, create the cringe. Like in the beginning, it's a little cringy. If you look at my videos, you'd be like, whoa, what were you doing? For some reason, in all my videos, I talk like this. Hi, I'm Amy Porterfield. I have no idea why I had that voice. It was really weird, but I think I was just nervous and trying to be someone I wasn't because had to figure it out in the beginning. We all start with a little cringe, and that's okay. The only thing I want everyone to hear is that if you just start, action creates clarity. If you're just willing to look like a beginner for a short period of time, the rewards far exceed any kind of awkwardness or messiness that you'll have. All of us have it in the beginning. So, again, you've got to go back to your why. Why does this matter to you? And are you willing to do what it takes to get what you want? And when I say do what it takes, it means kind of figuring it out as you go. You will always figure it out. For the mindset part of this, what I want people to really think about is, where have you actually figured things out in your life before? You didn't know what you were going to do. You had to fake it till you make it. You were kind of stumbling through it, but you got through it. All of us have stories of figuring it out and being resilient. Take that kind of mindset, pull it into this, which is new, because it's the same thing. So, everyone listening, you do have a 10% edge. You do have a course in you. And all you need to do is be willing to start messy. You will figure this out.
I completely agree. So I'm just gonna not even gonna add anything to that conversation. I love
And
it.
done.
But one thing I did want to ask about, because again, I know this is one of those questions that is just still popping up in the back of everyone's mind, is, even if they feel qualified now, even if they feel like they're excited to get messy and they're excited to start as a beginner, one
Yeah.
thing that is still constantly plaguing my audience is the tech.
Oh,
So, can we talk
yes.
a little bit about what it looks like at the very beginning? And do you need to be super tech savvy to start a course? And then I think that will kind of lead us nicely into the best way to get started, which is that boot camp you alluded to. But can we talk a little bit about the tech and, again, if that's a big requirement in order to be a successful course creator?
Yes. Okay, first of all, I want to just say, anyone who maybe can see this video, or could they see us too, or just
Yes.
listen to us? Okay, great. So you see us, and our hair is all nice right now. We were saying we kind of look like twins with our hair, and we've got good lighting and all of that. First of all, this is not how I started, and I'm pretty sure this is not how you started as well, right? So the tech side of it, how to even set up a camera. I remember when I had books piled up and a lamp on top, and I took the lampshade off, and I was super blown out with light, but I didn't know any better. Like, that's how I got started. I also want to tell everybody who's listening or watching, I'm not a big fan of video. If you told me I never had to get on video to grow my business, I'd say, great, hallelujah. I might be comfortable now after 15 years, but video has never really been my thing. It always makes me a little bit nervous and on edge. So I just want to say that you're listening to a girl right now who I'm not great at the tech. It has never come easy to me. And I also don't really like being on video and having to be front and center. So why do I do it? Well, first of all, I've just learned to kind of figure out the tech as I've gone. It's never come easy to me, but I will say this. I sound like someone saying, like, I walked to school uphill both ways in the snow, because back in the day, tech did not look like this. Tech was not as easy as it is today, nor did they have the kind of support that they have today. Also, tech was really scattered 15 years ago when I was figuring it out, where you'd have 10 different pieces of tech to make a digital course work. Today, you could have one or two kind of pieces of software and it starts to come together. And it's so much easier to use. So, this is what I'll say. I'm not a tech person at all. Anyone on my team would tell you that. And you don't need to be either. You can figure this out. And it's more of just like a drag and drop experience versus there's no coding, there's no extra, like, I need to have a degree in something. None of that. If my 70-year-old client can figure this out when she was never taught in school how to use even a computer, I promise you this is doable. And the other thing is, it's okay if you don't want to be on video a lot. It's okay if you don't want any fancy equipment. You do not need it. One of my friends, she has a multi-million dollar business. And in all her courses, up until this year, so she's been at this for over 6 years, she never showed her face in any of her courses. It was her voice and then some slides to help people follow along. Never went on camera, and has made multiple millions in her business. So do it your way. Figure it out the way that feels good to you. There's so many options here, but never, ever let yourself say, I can't figure out the technology. I swear to you, it's easier than it's ever been, and you can find the support you need to figure it out.
Just to be clear, I still talk over slides in my courses, and
Good.
that's okay to me.
Yeah.
I'll do a talking head video at the beginning of the course and at the end of the course. And I
Perfection.
know that's not necessarily best practice, but
I
it
love it.
allows me to record my course videos at 5 a.m. before my hair and makeup's done when my kids are
Yes.
sleeping. I have a subject matter that requires me to update lessons constantly. For example, I have a spotlight course about Facebook ads specifically for indoor playground owners. And because of that, I
Oh,
have to update lessons every month. If I
yes.
had to do my hair and makeup every single time my course needed an update, it would be out of date and completely obsolete immediately.
Thank
So
you.
I love the example that you can make millions talking over slides, because while I'm not at the multi-million dollar mark, I am about to pass the $1 million mark. But I love that example that it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the way you see other people doing it. If it makes sense with your lifestyle, and if that's the only way that you can do it and get something out into the world, it's okay. And that's still what I
Yeah.
do, and I stand by it.
Absolutely. I feel like you're the smart one. Like, let it be easy. We do not need to complicate this. Let it be easy. And there's absolutely ways to do so.
Yeah, and it's nice because for somebody purchasing my Facebook ads course right now, it looks so polished. It looks like I recorded
Exactly.
everything on the same day because the slides are consistent, but I recorded every single lesson on a different day, in a different month, in a different year at some points.
Wow.
So
That's
I love that
incredible. I love that.
example.
Good
So to
stuff.
wrap up, if we're feeling really excited, we've kind of gotten over a lot of those mindset roadblocks that we talked about. And again, we're excited to learn more. We're excited to get started with digital courses, but it still feels a little overwhelming and we're not sure what the next step should be. Can we talk a little bit about the boot camp that you have coming up? Because it's one of my favorite times of the year, and I am really excited to participate myself this year. But can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'm so happy you said it's your favorite time of year, because same with me. Like, I love doing this. I only offer this boot camp. It's called Course Confident, once a year. So I offer it once a year. It's the cheapest thing I do. It's only $47. And what I'm going to teach you live, so I'm in the group live, so you can kind of get to know me and my teaching style. I'm going to teach you how to kickstart your digital course. So specifics like how to come up with a topic. There's actually a formula that you want to walk through to come up with a topic that will be impactful and give you revenue. And so we have to be careful with that topic to make sure you don't waste your time and energy creating something someone won't buy. So first we get really clear on your topic, and I take you through 4 quadrants to help you come up with that sweet spot for your perfect topic. And then from there, we talk about pricing your course. You know, a lot of people think that the way you price a course is how many modules or lessons are in it or how long it takes someone to get through it. Actually, that has nothing to do with pricing a course. And when you get your pricing right, it opens so much opportunity for your audience to get into your program because you know who they are and what they need and what they want, and you know how to price it for them. And so then we can do some course math to show you what's possible over time to kind of open up your heart and mind to, wait a second, maybe this is something that I could do if I work it the way Amy's showing me how to do so. And then we also talk about how do you find an audience to buy your course? Because there's no magic pill here. Just because you create a course doesn't mean it's just going to sell with no audience, right? Like anything out there. So how do you find your audience, even if it's a small audience to start with, that you could be successful with the course you're creating? So I'm going to teach you how to make that connection there. And then finally, there's some decisions you need to make before you ever start creating your course so that you can have a strong foundation and you don't waste time, money, or energy. So we're going to make those decisions over this 5-day period inside this boot camp so that you can have confidence creating your course. So I really created it for anyone who's course curious. Could this work for me? Would I have a topic that would light me up and make me want to do this? How do you get started? That's what the boot camp is all about.
Like I said, I take it every year. I show up, I go to all the
Me
trainings
too.
because, as I mentioned, I like to add new courses to my business every year. I don't like to be complacent. I like to always add a spotlight course or maybe a starter course. I still don't have actually really a starter course. That might be something that I'm going to add this coming
Yeah.
year. So, whether it's your first course or whether it's something that you want to add on to your business, it's such a great refresher. And the energy in the boot camp is one of my favorite things as well, just to hear what other people are doing, see what's working, hear about the topics, learn from the other people in the group as well. It's one of my favorite things. So, not only do we get to learn from you and your team, but we get to collaborate and we get to participate alongside thousands of people in the exact same positions we're in.
Yeah, I love the community. I love the accountability. I love all the ideas people are sharing. So it's a really great experience. Again, I only offer it once a year. So I invite anyone who's listening right now that you're thinking, I don't know, this seems wild. Could I really do this? Get into the boot camp so I can help you see how this would work to start a business or add to a business. So we have both people that have never even started a business yet and they want to start with the course, which is essentially my journey, or people who have a business already but they're thinking, could I add a course to this to have an additional stream of revenue? So we get into both.
Absolutely. And it's only $47. Like you said, it's the least expensive thing you offer all year. So there's really nothing to lose. So I'm so excited for the boot camp. If anyone is listening, you can go to michellecaruana.com/bootcamp, or you can go to the video description or the show notes and sign up there and participate with both of us. So
Yes.
thank you so much for your time and energy today. I really appreciate it. This was a great conversation. You answered all of the questions that came in from my audience. So thank you so much again. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to another amazing year of boot camp.
Me too, my friend. Thanks again for having me. You're such a shining example of a really fantastic course creator who doesn't work their life away and prioritizes their family. You're a beautiful example of that. So thanks for being a part of my community.
Thank you. All right, that wraps up my conversation with Amy. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope again we'll see you in the boot camp starting September 11th. Just go to michellecaruana.com/bootcamp. I also linked it in the comments and in the video description so you can gain access to Amy and her team, her massive community, and my bonus training. Again, if you have any questions about digital courses or anything like that, leave it in the comments or send me a message on Instagram. It's Michelle Caruana. That's also linked in the video description. And I will see you soon. Bye for now.